morning, everybody. I am Anusha from CSC department working as assistant professor in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In my videos, I am discussing about the subject programming with objects. So in today's video, we will be discussing few examples of multi-threading. So in our previous classes, we have already covered the concept of multi-threading. So let's look into some of the examples of implementing multi-threading. So in this program, I will have two threads. One will be printing from 1 to 10 and another thread will be printing from 10 to 1. So finally, we will be getting this output. This is the output that we will get. So here we need two threads. So one thread is named as 1 to 100, which is implementing the runnable interface. As we have seen, multiple threads can be created in two ways. One is by extend the thread class, and the second way is to implement the runnable interface. So in these cases, in my example, I'm making use of the runnable interface. So my thread has to implement the runnable interface. So inside our thread, we have to give the implementation of the run method. So our logic will be implemented inside the run method. So what I need is I have to print from values 1 to 10. So in this method, I'm starting with the for loop. I'm using a variable I, which will increment from 1 to 10. So one thread will start from 1 and it will go to 10. So once this thread is started, at some point of time, it will go to sleep. So when it goes to sleep, what will happen? The second thread will start to run. So what we are doing in the second thread is also implementing the runnable interface, and inside the run method, we are implementing the logic to print from 10 to 1. So when the previous thread goes to sleep, this thread will be executing. So it will display the I value 10. So initially, the first thread will display the value I as 1. And the second thread will display the value as 10. So we get first 1 and then 10. So when this second thread goes to, once this prints, it will go to sleep. So once this goes to sleep, the first thread will start executing. So the first thread, what will it do? It will increment the value of I. So I value will become 2. And that statement will be printed. So we get the third statement of our output. And after printing that, this thread will go to sleep. So since it goes to sleep, the second thread will will start executing. So the second thread will decrease the I value, and I's value was 10. So I value will be 9 now. So you get the value 9 in the fourth line as 9 in the output. Now similarly, I value was, now that second thread will go to sleep. So when this goes to sleep, the first thread will start executing. So when the first thread starts, the I value will be 3 now, and it will thread in thread 1 to 100 3. I is 3. So we'll get this line in the output, and it will go to sleep. So when this thread 1 to 100 thread goes to sleep, the second thread value will be decreased to 8 and the statement will be displayed. So we get this line on the output, and then it will goes to sleep. So when this goes to sleep, the first thread will start executing. So the first thread will increase the value of I to 4 and display this, and it will go to sleep. So when this goes to sleep, the second thread will start executing. So the second thread will decrease the value of I to 7, and it will go to sleep. So because of that, we get these two lines in the output. Next, when this thread goes to sleep, the first thread will start executing. So it will change the value of I to 5 and display this into the output, and it will go to sleep. So when that sleeps, this thread will be active. So it will decrease the value of 7 to 6, and we get these two values in the output. Now similarly, likewise, whole values from the values till 0 will be printed by will be printed by the second thread, and the first thread will print the value till 10. So likewise, this thread will be these two multi-threading tasks will be executed in our program. So in our main class, we are creating the objects of the thread and we are invoking them using the start method. So once the start method is called, then only these will be activated. So when these activated, whatever I have explained will be executed. So it will be switching between the two threads in. When one goes to sleep, the other thread will be printing the statement, and when that goes to sleep, the first thread will be printing the statement. Likewise, it will print the values from 0 to the first thread will be printing the values from 1 to 10, and the second thread will be printing the values from 10 to 0. So this is an example of multi-threading. Now in another example, let's see to implement two threads which will in which one thread will print the factorial and the other thread will print the Fibonacci number. So let's see what's happening inside the main first, then from main we'll go to the thread. So here we are creating a scanner object which will read the value of n, and using that n value we will be find that n values factorial and n number of Fibonacci numbers will be displayed. So here we read the value of n and using that n value we are invoking the factorial thread and the Fibonacci thread. So since they both are started, what happens is that we will get an interleaved output. So so the output will not be proper. So I have used the join method so that the Fibonacci thread will start executing only after the factorial thread completes the execution. So in our case, so that is why I'm calling the join method. So the join method is called over F1. So F2 will wait for the F1 to complete. So only after the completion of F1, that is printing the factorial of that n value, will the Fibonacci thread start executing. Now let's see what happens inside the factorial and Fibonacci thread. So we are creating a factorial, we are reading the value here, n value, and that n value is being passed to the factorial and Fibonacci thread. So the factorial thread is implemented by fact thread and the Fibonacci numbers are displayed by the fib thread. So these n value I am passing as a parameter to the constructor. So inside the constructor so inside our fact thread, we have to create, so inside our fact thread, we are making use of an instance variable n, and that instance variable n is initialized to the value which is passed from the main method. Then we are implementing our factorial logic here. So first the statement factorial thread extending the thread class will be displayed, and then the factorial will start from 1 to n. So 3 factorial means what? It is 1 into 2 into 3. So in our case, f is starting from 1 and I is going from 1. So let's say our factorial is 3. We want to find 3 factorial. So n is 3. So n value was 3. So since n value was 3, I will go from 1 to 3. So since initial case, the factorial is 1. So the factorial value will be 1 into 1. So f will be 1 itself. Now I will be incremented. So I value becomes 2. I is 2 now. So when I is 2, f will becomes 1 into 2. So f is 2 now. F is which is 2. And I value will be incremented to 3. So next f will be 2 into 3 which is 6. So 2 into 3 which is 6. So f is equal to 6 and I is incremented to 4. So this condition I less than or equal to 3, this condition fails. So it will come out of the loop and it will print the factorial value. So the factorial, the last stored value of f was 6. So we get factorial value as 6. Now so this is for the factorial thread, and similarly, so in our case, I have made use of by extending the thread class. So this thread multi-threading is using the thread class. I have extended my thread to, I have made my thread to extend the thread class to implement the multi-threading concept. So in the first case, factorial value will be 6. It will be printed like that. Now in the second case, in the second thread, the Fibonacci thread is executing. So when the Fibonacci thread is executing, the n value is again 3. So it will display 0, 1 and 1. This will be our output. So here we will, we are inside the run. Here also the we have the instance variable for my thread class, and that is initialized by the constructor. So n value will be 3. Now inside the run, I'm implementing my Fibonacci logic. So how will Fibonacci be printed? If it is 3, first 0 and 1 will be printed. Then the third value will be printed by adding the first two. So if in case if our Fibonacci number of terms should be 5 means, it will be first 0, 1, 1. Then so how will we get this? 0 and 1 will be displayed. Then 0 plus 1 will get 1. Then 1 plus 1 we get 2. Then 2 plus 1 we get 3. So these values will be displayed if our Fibonacci was 5. So in our case, the n value was 3. So only 0, 1, 1 will be displayed. So I'm initially printing the 0 and 1 value. Then after that, I have to implement my logic. So for that, I have to use 3 variables, n1, n2 and n3. n1 and n2 are 0 and 1, initialized to 0 and 1. Then once these two are added, then so initially this will be n1 and this is n2. So once these two are added, then we make n2 as n1. That means this will be n1 and this will be n2. So in the second case, then this will be n1 and this will be n2. So again, we will add these two and the next number will be obtained. So here, first we have initialized n1 and n2 values to 0 and 1 and they are displayed. The values 0 and 1 are displayed. Then we have to get this number, the third number. To get the third number, we have to add these first two terms. So first we are adding the first two terms and displaying it. Then we have to make the initial second number as the first number and the initial second number as the first number, that is n1, and the current the result will be made as n2. Then we have to add those two values. So we are making the initial second number as the first number and the final result which we had and stored in n3, and that is put into n2. And then again this loop will be executed. So since we are displaying two values 0 and 1, then I value starting from 2, then it has to go till n is less than 2. So it will be executed and 1 is already displayed and again 1 will be displayed because of n3. Then again now n value will be increased. So 3, it will be reaching 3. I value will become 3. So 3 is less than 3, that is false. So it will exit the loop. So we get in the output we get 0, 1, 1. So this is how we implement the Fibonacci thread and factorial thread. So I'm calling this join method so that the output won't be interleaved. And the Fibonacci thread will wait for the factorial thread to finish. So that is all for today's video. And in preparing these slides, I have used Herbert Schill, the complete reference, the 9th edition, and these 3 websites, Samantha Sir's, Oracle Samantha Sir's website, then Oracle's tutorial website, Java T Point website. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching my video. We'll meet in the next class.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.